Kidnapping is no longer just a crime, it is a business. A dark empire where rich men vanish overnight, politicians silence their enemies, and flashy young men in Lamborghinis think they are untouchable. But what happens when kidnappers make the mistake of kidnapping one of their own, the ruthless dawn of another gang? This is not just a story of greed and guns. It is a story of betrayal, retaliation, and a shocking twist that ended with jail, madness, and death. Sit tight, dear viewers, because you are about to hear one of the most unbelievable tales of crime in Nigeria. The neon lights of Lagos nights glittered on exotic cars, Lamborghinis, G-Wagons, Mercedes-Benz GLEs. Boys barely in their late 20s popped champagne, their laughter drowning out the cries of mothers who had lost children to kidnappers. Kidnapping had become the new business. A shortcut to wealth. No certificate needed, no shop to rent, no taxes to pay. Just a gun, a car, and cold blood. From the shadows rose two emperors. Kashmir, the Lagos giant, who wore three-piece suits stitched in Italy and gave offerings in church every Sunday, yet had blood on his hands. Okoro, the Port Harcourt warlord, who owned hotels, filling stations, car lots, and a reputation so dark that children shivered at the mention of his name. Kashmir was adored. He gave free bags of rice to widows every Christmas. He donated boreholes in rural villages. He even sponsored church harvest. But behind his perfume and fine suits was a man who ran a kidnapping cartel with an iron fist. His right-hand man, Gentle, was anything but gentle. A tall, scar-faced beast whose eyes carried no pity. Kashmir's house in Banana Island was a palace. Yet every time he stood at his balcony, staring at the Lagos skyline, his smile carried secrets that only the underworld understood. Kashmir whispered one night, "Lagos is mine. Let anyone try me, they will meet their death." Hundreds of kilometers away in Port Harcourt, Okoro, nicknamed Scarface, rode the creeks. He was different. He never wore suits, his trademark was red beads on his wrist, agbada heavy with lion embroidery, and a laugh that froze hearts. Okoro loved his son, Leo. The boy was his only soft spot. To the world, Okoro was a demon. But to Leo, he was just Papa. Yet Okoro's warning echoed through every street of PH. Touch me, touch death. Touch my family, touch hell itself. Little did he know, his warning would soon be tested. Greed blinds men. And when blind men chase wealth through blood, they often stumble into the wrong fire. In a dimly lit beer parlor in Surrey, four faces sat around a wooden table. Their laughter was loud, but their hearts beat with greed. Collins, the brains. A smooth talker with eyes too sharp for his age. He had the gift of leadership, but his heart was restless. Clinton, his blood brother. Impulsive, reckless, with a hot temper that often brought more trouble than profit. Juliet, the honey trap. Tall, curvy, with a voice that could melt even the most cautious man. Her smile was a weapon sharper than any gun. Cindy, quiet and calculating. She handled accounts, kept records, and knew exactly how much blood money passed through their hands. Collins leaned in, whispering with a grin. "Brothers and sisters, I say we step up. Forget the small boys. Let's grab a big fish. One strike, and we are set for life." Juliet lit a cigarette, blowing smoke into the air. "And who is this big fish?" Collins smirked. "Some Lagos big boy. Drives exotic cars. Loves nightclubs. Easy catch." They clinked glasses. That night, a plan was born. Friday night. Quillock's nightclub. Music thumped through the walls, women danced like spirits, and champagne bottles rained down like water. Juliet entered in a red dress that set the whole club on fire. Men turned, jaws dropped. She was a goddess in human skin. At the VIP section sat their target, or so they thought. He was laughing with friends, spraying bundles of naira, a cigar between his lips. Juliet walked past, letting her perfume trail like magic. His eyes followed her. Moments later, she leaned on his table, smiling. "Mind if I join?" He grinned, intoxicated not just by alcohol, but by her beauty. The trap had closed. Outside, Collins and Clinton waited in a tinted SUV, engines humming, guns hidden under their jackets. At 3 a.m., the convoy of exotic cars rolled out of the nightclub. Juliet sat beside the target in his black G-Wagon, whispering sweet poison into his ear. Then, screech. A car blocked the road near the third mainland bridge. Another appeared behind. Gunshots split the night air. Men screamed, doors flung open. Within minutes, confusion reigned. Collins and Clinton dragged the target out, his hands tied, his mouth gagged. Juliet slipped out smoothly, joining them. The SUV roared into the night, tires screeching, vanishing into the shadows of Lagos. Inside the moving car, Clinton laughed wildly. "We don't hammer. This man go pay billions." But in the darkness, the bound man lifted his head. His eyes glowed with fury, not fear. And with a chilling voice, he spoke through the gag. "You fools, do you know who you've touched?" They had not kidnapped a Lagos big boy. They had kidnapped Okoro of Port Harcourt. The devil hides in glitter. What looks like easy money may be the very trap that ends your life. Deep inside a forest on the outskirts of Ogun State, the kidnappers dragged their victim into an abandoned building, a mud house with broken windows and bats nesting in the roof. They tied him to a chair. They slapped him, cursed him, demanded he sit still. But the man only smiled. Okoro sat there, hands bound, face bruised, yet his eyes shone like burning coals. When Clinton pointed a gun at his head, Okoro chuckled. "Do you know who I am?" he asked, voice deep and calm. Collins waved him off. "Shut up. You're just another rich fool who will pay." Okoro's laughter shook the walls. "You blind rats. You have kidnapped Okoro, the lion of Port Harcourt. The blood in your hands will never wash off." The gang exchanged nervous glances. Even Juliet's cigarette shook between her fingers. Cindy flipped through her ledger nervously. "Collins, maybe he's telling the truth. Do you know what this means? This man controls half of Rivers State. Politicians kneel before him." Clinton backed, "Nonsense. We've got him. He will pay. Everyone pays." Juliet's voice was low, almost a whisper. "I've heard his name before. Okoro. They call him Scarface. They say even the police fear him." Collins clenched his fist. "We have gone too far to turn back. Tomorrow, we make the call. 10 billion naira, or he dies." But in the corner, Okoro hummed softly. A song of war. A song of blood. And his eyes never left theirs. At midnight, a storm raged outside. Thunder cracked, lightning flashed through the broken roof. Juliet lit another cigarette, her hands trembling. Cindy clutched her Bible. Collins paced back and forth. Clinton polished his gun, whistling to hide his fear. Okoro finally spoke, his voice calm but deadly. "You think you hold me? But my men are already coming. They can smell your fear from miles away. This forest will burn before dawn." A long silence fell. Then suddenly, headlights flickered in the distance. Engines growled. Dozens of feet stomped the earth. Okoro's voice cut through the night. "They are here." The kidnappers froze. The storm outside was nothing compared to the war that was about to begin. The forest shook as engines roared closer. Bright headlights cut through the trees. Shadows of armed men danced on the walls of the hideout. Collins grabbed his gun, shouting, "Stand your ground." Clinton cursed, cocking his rifle. Juliet dropped her cigarette, her face pale. Cindy sobbed silently. Then, boom. The door shattered. Gunfire ripped through the air. Bullets shattered bottles, tore through walls, and sent bats screeching into the night. Okoro's men stormed in like a wave of demons. Masked, armed, merciless. Collins and Clinton fired blindly, their screams drowned by the thunder of bullets. Juliet crawled under a table. Cindy prayed louder than the gunfire. In the middle of the chaos, Okoro rose, still bound, grinning like a king returning to his throne. His men freed him, and he stood tall, untouched, unbroken. Juliet clutched Cindy's hand, whispering, "If we stay, we die. Run." Through the smoke, they slipped out the back door, naira notes spilling from Cindy's bag like confetti. Behind them, Clinton screamed as bullets found him. Collins staggered into the forest, wounded, disappearing into the darkness. Juliet and Cindy didn't look back. They ran barefoot through mud and thorns until their lungs burned. By dawn, they were gone. The forest was silent again. Bodies lay in pools of blood. Okoro's men loaded weapons back into trucks. Okoro stood in the middle, adjusting his beats, his voice cold. "Bring me Collins alive. His blood will water the ground. As for the others, let them carry their curses." In Lagos, news broke. Gang of kidnappers ambush wrong target, Okoro of Port Harcourt escapes. Collins was later arrested, dragged into prison like a dog. Clinton never survived the forest that night. Juliet and Cindy vanished for years, only to resurface later as born-again motivational speakers, telling students, "Crime is sweet at first, but bitter at last." The story of the wrong kidnap spread across Nigeria like wildfire. Mothers warned their sons. Fathers warned their daughters. And young men with greedy hearts trembled at the name Okoro. Dear listener, hear this truth. No shortcut lasts. Wealth built on blood will end in blood. Those who chase crime for quick gain soon find that the price is far higher than the reward. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more unforgettable tales. And remember, wisdom lives in stories. Don't just hear, learn. Here are some moral lessons. Greed blinds men to danger. Crime promises wealth but delivers destruction. Fear always haunts the guilty. No man is truly untouchable, every crime has its price. Quick wealth leaves bitter memories. Choices made in darkness will one day face the light. Wisdom is choosing patience over shortcuts. Greed and crime bring destruction. Those who chase quick wealth through evil means always meet a tragic end. Every action has consequences. Even if justice is delayed, it will eventually catch up with wrongdoers. Unity makes a community stronger. When people stand together, no criminal group can overpower them. Life is more valuable than money. Wealth can be replaced, but human life is priceless. Good will always triumph over evil. No matter how powerful darkness seems, light will always overcome it. Choices define destiny. One wrong choice can ruin an entire future, but wise choices bring peace and prosperity. Courage inspires change. When a few brave people stand up, it gives others the strength to resist evil. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to check out more of my thrilling tales here on African Tale, stories like the Onini story, the Cursed Twins, and Close Shave on the Railway, and so many other interesting stories. Each one will keep you glued, entertained, and inspired. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the next powerful story. For business inquiries, partnerships, or collaborations, kindly reach out. Money can be replaced, but a human life is priceless, and those who trade lives for riches only walk into their own doom. This story shows us that good will always triumph over evil, and our choices will forever shape our destiny. Above all, it is courage, the courage of a few, that inspires change for all. And so, the gang that once thought they ruled the streets was scattered by greed, betrayal, and fear. Some died in prison, others ran mad, and a few lived only to expose the darkness they once embraced. Collins and Clinton became unlikely allies of the police. Juliet and Cindy turned their pain into a book that shook Nigeria. But the truth remains, crime is sweet at first, but bitter at last. Dear viewers, remember this, in a world where quick money glitters, the price is often blood, chains, or tears. Choose wisely, for the road of crime never ends well. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling tales that open your eyes, stir your heart, and keep you coming back. Don't forget to watch more of my interesting stories here on African Tale. Share, subscribe, and stay connected for new tales every week. Stay safe, stay wise, and keep the spirit of storytelling alive. Kidnapping is no longer just a crime, it is a business. A dark empire where rich men vanish overnight, politicians silence their enemies, and flashy young men driving Lamborghinis think they are untouchable. But what happens when kidnappers make the mistake of kidnapping one of their own, the ruthless dawn of another gang? This is not just a story of greed and guns. It is a story of betrayal, retaliation, and a shocking twist that ended with jail, madness, and death. Sit tight, because you are about to hear one of the most unbelievable tales of crime in Nigeria. In the bustling heart of Lagos, where money speaks louder than reason and flashy cars scream louder than common sense, kidnappers had become kings of the night. They snatched rich men in Mercedes-Benz, oil moguls in Lamborghinis, even politicians who thought their security could save them. Ransom money flowed like River Niger, and everyone knew, if you flaunt too much, you might not see tomorrow. But one night, greed made a crew cross the wrong line. Now there were two kingpins in kidnapping. Kashmir, the kidnapper's kingpin in Lagos, looking soft, gentle and classy, married with 3 lovely kids. His guy name was Gentle, but he was far from being gentle. He was deadly, and those who worked with him knew. He liked the fine things in life, luxury, fine skin, vacations, flowers and charity. Ignorant people loved him and can go to any length to praise him and defend him. He gave charity to the communities close to the rich estate he lived, and the people thought he was kind and different from the others who do not relate with them or give them anything despite the fact that they were rich. He had thugs, lived in a mansion, loved flowers. His main outfit was trendy jeans blue, white v-neck t-shirt white, and inscription Inspire written on the breast of the shirt. Blue canvas, gold hand wristwatch, hand chain, and light gold necklace. He was very neat and cosmopolitan. He had high-ranking officers as friends and police officers as friends, dealing with them on all fronts. The society thought he was a generous philanthropist, not knowing that he was the leader of a kidnapping group. He had all the weapons to operate. When that was the kidnapping kingpin in Lagos, then there exists the kidnapping kingpin of Port Harcourt. Called Clinton, he has a scar on his face. He was nicknamed Scarface. Of called Popo Leo, he has one son named Leo. He loves his son Leo very much. He was a car dealer very known for selling exotic cars to the rich and celebrities. But no one knew his source of wealth was from kidnappers, and the business was a strategy to sight and know the rich or influential so he can kidnap them and steal their vehicles and money through his deadly gang. He lives in a 5-star hotel he owns. He parades and moves with thugs and security men. He was into traditional religion and has a room in his hotel where he worships his idol. He believed that the idol protected him. No one enters the room except him, his son. And he enters the room with his back. He was into giveaways through social media and using influencers online. The secret he used in locating some of the victims he kidnaps. The social media loved him for his giveaways, and the people will celebrate him and patronize him for his kindness to the ordinary through his giveaways. He loves parties and the serious. He was strongly built with a scar on his face. He loved expensive cars, traditional Nigerian adur, suits, lace agabdas. He keeps police with him and has influential persons as friends. He organizes parties inviting most celebrities and other rich folks. He loves ladies, very beautiful and expensive ladies. In the bustling streets of Port Harcourt, where oil wealth and politics clash daily, kidnappers ruled the night. They hunted the rich, the powerful, and the flashy. But one day, they made the mistake of their lives. They kidnapped the wrong man. What followed shook the underworld, exposed dirty secrets, and changed lives forever. Collins was the leader in the kidnapping world. A tall, scar-faced man in his mid-30s, always in blue jeans and a tight black t-shirt that showed his muscles. His younger brother, Clinton, was slimmer, reckless, always hiding under a hoodie. Together, they ran with 2 women, Juliet, the gang seductress, caramel skin with her Brazilian wig flowing down her back, lace gowns hugging her curves, and gold jewelry flashing under every light. Then there was Cindy, smart, dark-skinned, with long braids, always dressed in bold ankara, keeping records and making sure ransom money was counted to the last naira. One Friday night, Juliet spotted their next prey at a nightclub on Lagos Island. Outside the club, a white Mercedes G-Wagon and a yellow Lamborghini Aventador glowed like trophies. The men who stepped out wore Versace shirts, ripped jeans, and gold chains as thick as ropes. Juliet leaned close to Collins, her red lipstick shining under the neon lights. Not those ones we go collect tonight. Big money day inside. Collins nodded, his scar twitching. Kashmir grinned, already dreaming of new sneakers and Rolex watches. They followed the convoy. On Third Mainland Bridge, Collins blocked the road with their SUV. Clinton fired shots into the air, sparks lighting the night. The G-Wagon screeched to a halt. In seconds, the rich men were dragged out, tied, and blindfolded. But hidden inside that G-Wagon was not just another flashy boy. It was Okoro. Okoro, the Don. The king of another kidnapping empire. A bald, pot-bellied man in flowing white agbada, coral beads around his neck, and a smile that chilled the blood. In the forest hideout near Benin, Okoro sat tied to a wooden chair, agbada torn, but his confidence untouched. He laughed as Collins slapped him across the face. Una dey craze. Do you know who I be? Nomi dey run this city. My boys dey come for una. This one way una do. E go cost una everything. Fear crept into the gang like smoke. Cindy's hands trembled as she whispered, Collins, we don't carry thunder come house oh. This man no be small fish. Juliet lit a cigarette, her wig slightly off-center, trying to mask her fear with smoke. Clinton drank water restlessly, muttering, we go die here, I swear. And then it happened. One midnight, the forest erupted. Headlights cut through the trees, engines roared, and before they could even scatter, bullets rained like heavy downpour. Okoro's crew had arrived. Sparks from AK-47s lit up the night, screams tore through the air. Juliet lost her diamond bracelet in the sand. Cindy dropped her bag of ransom notes as she ran. Collins dragged Clinton through the bushes, bullets flying past their heads. By dawn, the gang was scattered. Some captured, some dead, some vanished into the forest. Okoro was free, and he swore vengeance. Collins and Clinton, broken and haunted, had nowhere left to run. Days later, they walked into a police station in Abuja, rifles in hand. Collins dropped his gun on the cold floor. Clinton fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. They confessed everything. Juliet and Cindy, clever as always, struck a deal. They would write. They would tell all. And so they did. Their book, Kidnappers Kidnapped, The Untold Story of Nigeria's Dark Underworld, shook the nation. They toured universities in lace gowns and Ankara dresses, wigs styled perfectly, gold jewelry glittering as they stood under bright lights. But the rest of the gang? Some died in prison riots, their blood staining concrete. Others went mad, mumbling Okoro's name in the dark. A few were pardoned, only to vanish into the slums, lost and forgotten. Collins and Clinton, seeking redemption, became informants for the police, helping to dismantle other kidnapping rings. And Juliet, standing on stage, closed her book one evening and whispered into the microphone, crime is sweet at first, but bitter at last. The audience sat in silence, goosebumps on their skin. For this was not just a story. This was a mirror of Nigeria's streets, where greed, power, and crime eat men alive. Books' moral lessons: crime may shine, but it always destroys. Greed blinds men to their own downfall. The streets do not forgive mistakes. Betrayal is the shadow that follows every thief. No car, no gold chain, no luxury is worth a wasted life. Confession can open the door to redemption. Survivors of crime must use their voices to save others. Nigeria is a land of hustle, where the poor struggle, the rich flaunt, and the powerful fight dirty for political gain. In the shadows of all that, one business thrives without license, without taxes, without shame. Kidnapping. In the south, from Port Harcourt to Benin, it had become a trade. Not just a crime, but a booming industry. Some kidnapped oil workers for ransom. Some kidnapped politicians for power. Some targeted rich business moguls. And others, kidnapped for the simple reason of buying the next flashy car, the next gold chain, or a seat at a nightclub where big boys sprayed naira like confetti. Among the most feared in this underworld were two brothers, Collins and Kashmir. Collins, the elder, was scar-faced, tall, built like a wrestler. His eyes were cold, his voice deep, his black t-shirt always stretched against his muscles. If you saw him in jeans and boots, you knew trouble had arrived. Kashmir, his younger brother, was slimmer, reckless, always hiding under a hoodie. He was quick with a laugh, quicker with his gun, and too young to understand that the streets don't forgive forever. With them were two women who gave the gang its edge. Juliet, caramel-skinned, curvy, her Brazilian wig always laid to perfection. In lace gowns and gold necklaces, she looked like a senator's daughter, but her smile was a trap. She was the bait, the distraction, the one who could lure a billionaire's son from his armored car with just a wink. And then there was Cindy. Dark-skinned, brilliant, with long braids and a sharp tongue. While the others planned attacks, she handled the money, the records, the contacts. In her Ankara dresses with bold prints, she looked innocent. But she was the brains that made the gang dangerous. It was a Friday night in Lagos. Quillock's nightclub throbbed with music, strobe lights painting the crowd in neon colors. Outside, packed like thrones, sat a white G-Wagon and a yellow Lamborghini Aventador. Their owners, two flashy young men in Versace shirts and heavy gold chains, threw money like it was leaves on the wind. Juliet leaned against the bar, swirling champagne in a crystal glass. She tilted her head toward Collins and whispered, "Not those ones. Tonight, we go chop life." Collins' car caught the light as he smacked. Clinton grinned from ear to ear. Big money day inside those motors. One call, and our life fit change. Juliet's eyes glowed. "I'll distract them. You boys, do the rest." At 2 a.m., the convoy of cars rode out of the club. The kidnappers followed. On 3rd Mainland Bridge, the trap was set. Collins' SUV blocked the road. Clinton fired into the air, sparks raining down. "Lie down flat. Move, and not your last day," he barked. The G-Wagon screeched to a stop. In minutes, the men were dragged out, beaten, tied, and blindfolded. But among them, sitting calm, silent, and smiling, was Okoro. The wrong catch. Kashmir was no ordinary man. He was the Don, a legend in the kidnapping world. Pot-bellied, bald, with coral beads around his neck, and a white agbada that screamed power. Unknown to Collins and his crew, they had just kidnapped another kidnapper, and not just any, but the Kingpin himself. In the forest hideout near Benin, Kashmir sat tied to a wooden chair. His agbada was torn, his lip bleeding, but his smile remained. Collins paced back and forth, gun in hand. "Where the money dey? Who get money pass you?" Kashmir chuckled, shaking his head slowly. "Una don kidnap Thunder. My boys they come. Una go beg for death before this night end." Cindy's heart raced. She pulled Collins aside. "This man no be ordinary His name dey ground. If not truly him be the Don, we don't finish." Juliet dragged on a cigarette, blowing smoke into the night. She tried to act calm, but her hands trembled. Clinton spat on the ground. "Abeg, forget all this him talk. Man dey yarn anyhow when him dey tied." Kashmir only smiled wider. "Ask about me. My name dey ring for Enugu, Delta, Rivers, even Abuja. If una wise, untie me. If una stubborn, una go see Pepper." Hours passed. The forest was silent, too silent. Even the crickets seemed afraid. Collins grew restless, Juliet chain-smoked, Cindy clutched a handbag of ransom notes, and Kashmir drank water like his throat was on fire. Then suddenly, headlights. Retaliation. The first shot split the night like thunder. Then came another. And another. In seconds, the forest was ablaze with gunfire. Sparks flew from rifles, shouts tore through the trees. Collins grabbed Clinton. "Run." Some died in prison, others ran mad, and a few lived only to expose the darkness they once embraced. Collins and Clinton became unlikely allies of the police. Juliet and Cindy turned their pain into a book that shook Nigeria. But the truth remains, crime is sweet at first, but bitter at last. Dear viewers, remember this, in a world where quick money glitters, the price is often blood, chains, or tears.